Welcome back to another video. This one is big for the channel, and we're going to compare the Honda Clarity to the Tesla Model 3. Is that a weird comparison? Maybe if it's not this channel. Before I start this comparison, both of these cars are vehicles I would recommend to anyone who is looking for an efficient vehicle in the price range of $30,000 to $40,000. That being said, how can I do this with any impartiality at all, considering I got rid of a Clarity to buy a Model 3? Well, Doug DeMuro. He does what's called a Doug score, and he is basically the most popular car reviewer on YouTube. Doug has some scores out there that will be relevant to these cars. Some of the scores I had to adjust, but mostly we can take things that Doug DeMuro has said about either these cars specifically or cars very similar to these and apply them, and then I will defend those ratings. So that will be the numerical portion, and after that, we'll talk about the purchase experience of each, the dealership and service experience of each, the driving experience, convenience, conspicuous factors, cabin noise, extra factors, driver assist features, interface, the audience these cars are best for, personal peeves from each, some resale information, and finally a brief conclusion, just to sum things up as briefly as possible. But first, let's get to the numbers, let's get to the Doug scores, and how we came to these scores in general. So we'll start with the Clarity. The scores that I used for the Clarity are based on the scores for the 2022 Honda Civic. I made small adjustments, certain things you can't really apply. Styling, 5 out of 10. From the exterior, after you get used to the car, you really learn to appreciate the way it looks. The front end having the little L running lights like a Cadillac, but a little bit better looking in my opinion. But in the back, it just looks like somebody combined a Civic and an Accord and put it together, and it still has all the fake Honda vent stuff going on. And of course, the fender flares. Who could forget the rear fender flares? It's a 5 out of 10. Acceleration, this is a very objective number. The acceleration for the Honda Clarity is a 1. Anything over 7 is a 1 in Doug DeMuro's mind, and he bases it on enthusiast and performance cars. Either way, it's a scale. It works that way. Acceleration is 1 out of 10. For handling, the Clarity gets a 3 out of 10. Perfectly acceptable, but not made for corner tossing. It is large. Fun factor. The Clarity gets a 1 out of 10 for fun factor. It's not a fun car. You don't buy the car because it's going to be the most fun you've ever had. You buy this car typically because you want the most efficient car to get you from A to B every day. The car teaches you range anxiety. It wants you to use electric as much as possible, but it only gives you like that 40 to 60 miles. And I thought that was fun. But for some, it could be overwhelming. Or you can just get in and stomp and go. But eventually you'd have questions like, why do I not have any EV range right now? I've read the forums. I've been in the groups. People don't understand the Clarity because the Clarity is extremely hard to understand. Fun factor, 1. Cool factor, 4 out of 10. Here's why. The Clarity is a conversation. It is not a conversation starter. It's hard to explain how the Clarity isn't just another hybrid. It's like, oh, well, you have a plug-in hybrid. Well, I have a RAV4 hybrid. The RAV4 hybrid is not a plug-in hybrid. Explaining what a plug-in hybrid is very difficult. And that's the reason why this car gets a 4 as far as cool factor. Also, you can hide this thing in a parking lot. If you park it somewhere in a mall parking lot, 96 out of 100 people are going to walk right past it and not notice it at all. That's another reason the cool factor is 4. Features, 6 out of 10. I went with Doug DeMuro's score of the 2022 Civic. It's nothing special. No sunroof, no volume knob, lots of cabin space, but not much storage. Back seat vents, 12-volt adapter in the rear, but no USB, no USB-C. The screen isn't huge, but it does have Apple CarPlay. You can go back and forth, but it's somewhere in the middle, and I think the right score for the Clarity is a 6. Comfort, 5 out of 10. You may think, well, the Clarity is an extremely comfortable car. It's so big. It is big. It is not super comfortable. Long trips, the seats will get to you. They are nothing special. 5 out of 10. Quality, 6 out of 10. This is the 2022 Civic score. We're going to go with that. It's a Honda. It's not a Mercedes S-Class, which, you know, that's when you're getting close to your 10 out of 10. It's not one of those. Practicality, 7 out of 10. This is an average between the Civic and the RAV4 that Doug DeMuro most recently reviewed. A RAV4 is going to have a little bit more space, but not a lot. Other than a hatchback rear end, you're looking at basically the same amount of room and ability to carry things, but it is a car and not an SUV, but it is better than a Honda Civic, which was a 6. RAV4 got an 8. Practicality for the Clarity, it's going to be a 7. Value, 7 out of 10. Value is great. The future is hard to tell. More on that later. Check in for the conclusion portion of this video. Okay, Honda Clarity over. Tesla Model 3. These are the scores that Doug DeMuro gave the Model 3, the last one he reviewed, minus some changes because this is the Standard Range Plus, and those are changes that we can do objectively. Otherwise, we're really going to just go with Doug's score and explain those. Styling, he gave it a 5 out of 10. Some like, some don't. Some think it looks like a duck. My wife posted a picture of it when she got it. One of her coworkers literally just commented the word ugly. Now, is that because of the car's looks or the fact that it's an EV? I live in West Virginia. You can figure that one out for yourself. 5 out of 10 for styling. Acceleration, 4 out of 10. This is the rating of the Standard Range Plus 0 to 60 time on Doug's scale. If you want more info on that, I'll put the links down below and you can look them up yourself. Acceleration, 4 out of 10. Handling, 6 out of 10. It is significantly better than the Honda Clarity that gets a 3 out of 10. It's not a race car. It's not a Porsche 911 GT3, but it's darn good. It's significantly better than the Clarity. The 2019 Civic we had was the sport model. It was good. I would give it a 5. I had a 2006 Honda Civic Si, which was the best handling car I'd ever owned before this. The Model 3 is better. 6 out of 10 for handling. For other reference, the Model Y I have would not get a 6. I would give it a 5. Fun factor, 6 out of 10. It's fun. It's also polarizing, which, if you've already bought one, is fun. People want to race. They want to talk about it. They want to tell you it sucks. They want to tell you they'd never buy one. They want to tell you that the batteries are already going to need replacement. All the kids want one. They point at each other and then point at the car. They take pictures in front of them. It's fun. 6 out of 10. Cool factor is a 5 out of 10. It's easy because it's polarizing. Half hate it, half love it. The song Fancy Like says, don't need a Tesla to impress her. Fine, but it would help. People roll their windows down and ask you if the car is driving itself. People also cut you off, beep at you, and roll coal on you. 5 out of 10. Features, 9 out of 10. There's a million videos on the features for the Model 3. Look one up if you want to know how many features it has. The trunk closes with a push of a button. The Clarity does not. It has a frunk. The Clarity has an engine. It has Sentry mode. It has a functional app. The Tesla's features change for the better as time goes on. Eventually, that Apple CarPlay will no longer be usable because the Lightning port will go away on the iPhones. Think about that one for a second. Features, 9 out of 10. Comfort, 7 out of 10. This is accurate from Doug DeMuro. All these scores, by the way, are Doug DeMuro scores minus acceleration. Seats are way better than the Clarity. They are not Audi RS seats. They're Tesla Model 3 seats, and they're darn comfortable, and a long trip is just a long trip. You can sit forever in this car. You get to the supercharger, and you don't even feel like getting out. 7 out of 10 for comfort. Quality, 6 out of 10. This is Doug's score. The Clarity taillight held water. The Model 3 creaked. 6 out of 10 for both. Practicality, 6 out of 10. It has a frunk. It has less leg and hip room, but it's the cheapest fuel cost in the U.S. for a 4-door sedan. Think about that. Cheapest fuel cost, 4 doors. The Clarity is cheap, but drive that sucker across the country and stay a couple nights at a hotel, and the Model 3 is going to save you hundreds of dollars, even compared to a Clarity. Hundreds of dollars. 6 out of 10. Value, 8 out of 10. And for the people that say you're going to have to replace the battery, okay. A totaled 3-year-old Model 3 with a salvage title still sells for $30,000. A Clarity with 10,000 miles in perfect condition does not sell for $30,000. 8 out of 10 for value on the Tesla Model 3. Those are the numbers. Now that we've done the numbers, we can do my personal experience. First up is the purchase experience for the Clarity. The price was non-negotiable. Absolutely non-negotiable. At the time I bought it, it was one of the first Clarities ever made. That entire bargaining chip was off the table immediately. I paid 100% full sticker, even though I traded in 2 vehicles They wouldn't budge. They got in an argument with my wife. The whole thing took 4 hours. 4 out of 10 would not recommend. The Model 3 purchase experience, it was done online. It took 5 minutes. The financing took 5 minutes. The order took 5 minutes. That's 15 minutes. I had some questions. It was a little intimidating to drive away because they were unanswered. I will say that. That was the bad part about the Tesla experience is in Rockville, Maryland, one guy was delivering 5 cars in 15 minutes, and there was another guy that was delivering 5 cars in 15 minutes, and a third person delivering 5 cars in 15 minutes, and that was 15 cars in 15 minutes. So he didn't have a lot of time to spend on me specifically with questions. He did ask me if I had any more questions. I knew I could make it drive because I had made a Tesla drive before, so I said no. And the reason I said no is because I knew I could find the videos online. Buying experience, Model 3, and this is compared to all other vehicles I have purchased, 8 out of 10. Dealership service experience. For the clarity, the dealer didn't know anything about the car. The car had been on their lot, they said, for 2 weeks, and the charger was still in the original plastic. They had not charged the vehicle. They said, hey, you know you can charge this if you want. Like it was a feature and not the reason why you would buy the car. I did get a free AC condenser on a recall in mid-2018 because they thought it was the fuel cell version. That was cool. Other than that, I didn't have to take it in except for one other recall, which was for the hybrid vehicle range being inaccurate. There may have been other updates, but the car functioned just fine, so I didn't take it in. I did all the oil changes myself. The total dealer cost from the Clarity was $0 for 3 years. Dealership service experience for the Clarity, I'd have to go like 7 out of 10. The Model 3, I had a problem with Sentry Mode. They couldn't recreate it, but we did figure a fix out in this video. You can watch in the right corner. So I did fix a problem that they couldn't fix, but I dropped off the car and they gave me a Model S with full self-driving to check out for the weekend. Not bad. There was a creak. It was fixed under warranty for no charge. The total cost from the dealer for the Tesla so far has been $0. And as long as that warranty holds up, that's going to be the reality. Dealership experience for the Tesla, 6 out of 10. Driving experience. The Clarity is nice. It's an Accord with a battery. It's a nice experience. If you've driven an Accord, they are perfectly adequate. And that's exactly what the Clarity is. It is perfectly adequate for driving. Clarity driving experience, 6 out of 10. The Tesla Model 3 must be experienced. It cannot be properly described if you haven't driven a Tesla. You will describe it to me from the experience in the passenger seat, from the acceleration. They will be your words. I can't put your words in your mouth. Model 3 driving experience, 10 out of 10. It is the best car I've ever driven, but it's the best car I've ever driven. Therefore, my personal driving experience on the Model 3, 10 out of 10. Convenience. Plug-in cars are super convenient. The Clarity is super convenient, 9 out of 10. The Model 3 is super convenient, 9 out of 10. The Tesla has the supercharger network. You don't have to worry about your range anywhere in the US. Conspicuous factors. For the Clarity, almost none. I can count the number of times I've been approached about the car during the time I owned it on one hand. Conspicuous factors for the Clarity, it is a 3 as far as being conspicuous out of 10. I've had twice as many people in the Tesla Model 3 come up and ask me about it in less than 3 months. Everything about the Tesla sticks out. We don't live in California. Conspicuous factors, 7 out of 10. It's not a Lamborghini,
but it's as close as you could get for the money.
Cabin noise. This is a tie. The Honda Clarity is not an Acura. The Model 3 is not a Model S. The cabin noise is simply a tie. The extra factor. Not accelerating per se, just needing extra. Both cars have plenty of extra. The Clarity can pass anything you want, anytime you need to, but in the Model 3 you can also pass anything you want, anytime you want. The Clarity extra factor, 7 out of 10. The Model 3 extra factor, 8 out of 10. Driver assist features. The Clarity is good. Honda sensing is good overall, but it can't be trusted. Now, you shouldn't trust any driver assist feature, but it really can't be trusted. The Model 3 Tesla Autopilot is almost too good. It braked for a squirrel for me the other day. It stays in the middle of the lane, a little too close to the left lane car if you're in the right lane on the interstate. But that's just my preference, maybe my own paranoia, but it is in the middle of the lane. So clarity and Honda sensing, 5 out of 10. Tesla Autopilot is the best in the business, 9 out of 10. Interface. For the clarity, use the steering wheel controls. The less you have to touch, the better on the screen. Bluetooth is seamless, CarPlay works good. Tesla takes work to learn. The learning curve at the beginning is steep. After that, it's the best thing. You never have to take your phone out of your pocket again. Everything is right there. It's all available to be seen. It's minimalistic. It looks great. It's not in your way. You don't have to reach around to find any button. Clarity interface, 5 out of 10. Model 3 interface, 7 out of 10. Audience, kind of like who is interested in this car? About the clarity. If you want to know how nice it could be to have an EV, you just want to learn as you go in a tactile way, the clarity is for you. If you don't want to stand out, you just want excellent economy, get a clarity. The clarity is a cumulative final exam on how to drive an EV efficiently. If you study and prepare and ask the right questions, you can get a perfect score. But study up, or you'll be driving around with what feels like 75 horsepower in a full-size car with 0.0 miles of EV and a D- grade. And if the clarity is the cumulative final exam, the Model 3 wrote all the answers on the back of its hand before class, and the teacher had an emergency in the hallway as soon as he or she handed it out. Nobody got in trouble, nobody got caught, nobody studied. Perfect score. Party after class at your house, in the garage by the level 2 charger. That's the difference. The Model 3 is the stomp and go. You don't have to know anything except how to press the right buttons on the screen when you need to. Other than that, it's so good. You don't have to worry about the range because it's there, because you charged it last night. And if you're traveling on a long trip, you have to worry about the range exactly the same amount as you have to worry about the range in your gas car. Once in a while, you got to look down and see if it's time to pull over and fill it up. It's exactly the same as a gas car. The clarity, when do I turn on hybrid vehicle mode? How much more of my EV range do I need to keep? When will the angry bees start? Do I use sport mode on the interstate? How many miles can I squeeze out of this downhill? Those are all things that you do in the clarity all the time. It's a fun game. It's super fun if you're into that kind of thing, but you need to study, period. Audience, the clarity is an enthusiast car disguised as an Accord. The Model 3 is the everyman's electric vehicle. I won't give it a score. I think I've given it enough. Pet peeves, clarity. The wipers on the clarity aren't good. The engine noise was too loud when it needed to be used. There's no volume knob. And they canceled it. Come on, are you kidding? I was going to buy my wife one. I was going to buy my wife a 2021, and they canceled it. I've lost so much faith in Honda. I was a brand ambassador. There's no way you could think of me as anything different than a brand ambassador, and it was way before the clarity. I had an Accord. I had another Accord. I had a Civic Si. I bought another Civic. And then I bought a CRV, which I immediately traded for the clarity when I saw it on a lot. I've never bought anything but Hondas until Tesla showed up. And I will never buy another Honda ever again until they make their own EVs and they begin to innovate. Because the first Honda EV is a GM. We all know this. I'm done. That was my rant on the Honda Clarity. Time for the peeves on the Model 3. The software updates are a peeve. This last one, this holiday update, everything about the interface changed. Every single thing. Had to go find all the stuff again. Now, did it become easier to find? Yes. It's essentially like an iPhone when it has an update. At first you're mad and 10 minutes later you're like, wow, why hasn't it been like this the whole time? But it's a peeve. The alarm thing. The alarm went off every time my wife got out of the car, all because she clicked the wrong thing when her iOS updated. Her iOS updated to iOS 15. It asks all the questions again. You got to log into stuff. It says, hey, you want to allow all these things to track you. She doesn't know. She said, well, the least amount of tracking, the better. She knew enough to say, hey, yeah, allow it to access it, but only while I'm using the app. All of a sudden we had alarms. That was a peeve. It's 60 miles to my nearest service center. It's 3.2 miles to my nearest Honda dealership. That's a peeve. Oh, and of course, rear wheel drive. Now it's fun, but don't think it's a Pontiac Firebird. Remember where the battery is and how that affects the center of gravity, but still, boo to rear wheel drive, even if the acceleration pulls are more fun. That's it. That's all I got for peeves on the Model 3. Resale value. The Clarity will hold its value decently over time if they aren't driven, but they'll be driven. 10 years from now, there will be 200 of them with good mileage. Get one now so you can enjoy a full life with it. Keep it and give it to your son, daughter, relative that needs a car when it's their turn to drive. The Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus is the most sought after car there is, period. Highest resale value, Positive resale value. If you get your hands on a new one, you can sell it for more than you paid for it immediately. I kind of feel like I'm talking about Honda if it was 10 years ago. Like if I'm talking about a Civic Si or even the Civic Type R. But it's not 2012 and there's no CD player standard. Instead, this car gets better over time. It's powered by the same thing in your phone and your TV remote and your remote control car and your clock and the touch light in your closet and the Wii remote and the flashlight and your cordless drill and your AirPods laptop. I could go on, but you get it. The batteries that power it have advanced systems that keep them happy all the time. They're quiet, reliable, and way more stable than a complex hybrid system that the manufacturer straight gave up on for no reason. That's why the resale value is huge. It's super high. The people that want them know what they're getting. The people that get them know what they have. And now for the conclusion. These two cars are both cars you should get. Try a Clarity. If you like it, the Model 3 is a Clarity on a diet that just started dating a minimalist who is very OCD about designer fashion with extra pockets. And it's all 100 miles per gallon plus. Final thought. The Clarity is a collector car. Nobody cares now, but in 15 years, maybe a different story. Want a huge value increase? Stop driving your Clarity now and go get a Model 3 for your commute. If I could have afforded to keep mine, I totally would have. If you have questions about the Honda Clarity or the Tesla Model 3 or the Tesla ownership experience or the Honda Clarity ownership experience, please ask them below in the comments. And if you made it this far, rapid fire away. Roast me as much as you want. You have all the opportunity. I've given you numbers. I've given you objectivity. I've given you subjectivity. Please air your disagreements in the comments below. And I'm serious. I want to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world. We're looking for 1,000. Can we get there? I hope so. Thank you so much for watching this video and enjoying my nostalgic trip through my Honda Clarity footage. We'll see you in the next one.
Hey, smash the like button.
Thank you.